Alright guys, it's Thursday. I'm here in Denver. I'll get to that later, but I guess I'll just start where I left off on day 9. So yeah, day 9 I woke up a little bit later. I was expecting a shorter day, expecting tailwinds about 155 miles. So I started around 7:30 I believe, and from Baker to Williston was the plan. And yeah, the wind had started early, which it had been doing, which had been frustrating to me, but this time it was a good thing because it was a tailwind. So really the strongest winds were early on, and I had a really good start. I did the first 100 miles in I think around 5.5 hours, and I was feeling pretty good, you know. The mood was a lot better, just everything with the tailwind, everything changed, and you know, it was a beautiful day. And yeah, so it kept going, and the wind kind of died down, and there was more crosswind between then and Williston, but I'd still finished 155 I think in 8.5 hours or so. So I was still feeling pretty good, and I was, you know, it was early, and I had this tailwind, and I was expecting headwinds the next day, so I was thinking, you know, why not just keep going? I only had 58 miles for the next ride, so might as well just keep going to Canada, man. Why waste this tailwind? They, you know, only had one for the last week, so yeah, I just had to take advantage of that moment. Kept going to Canada. Luckily for me, you know, I had a ride back still, so I was able to make that adjustment and just pushed on to Canada, and the tailwinds kind of picked up again as the day went on, so it's a beautiful thing. And I had a pretty fast day. I think I finished around 12.5 hours or something, and that's probably what I would have done, the 155 miles in, if I had a headwind that day. So really, time-wise, it wasn't that much of a difference. I just had the tailwind, and I could keep going and all the way to Canada, which was it was an interesting thing. You know, when I rode coast to coast, as you start getting closer and closer to the coast, you can kind of feel that in the air. You can feel that the ocean is close. You can kind of smell that salt in the air, and it's like you just start getting excited. For this one, it's just, you know, signs on the road. You never really know. It's a man-made line in the sand, I guess. So you're kind of getting closer to nothing in particular, but it's still exciting. When you get close, you get that adrenaline push, and you know, I could ride that a little bit faster. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. And then I went to the border there in Ambrose, and it closed at 5, so it was closed, so I couldn't actually cross the border. But I hadn't crossed the border in Mexico either, so you know, no big deal. But yeah, it was good to finish, and awesome to finish in 9 days instead of 10, because the next day was kind of an adventure. I was expecting, there's a FedEx store there, I was expecting to go there, get a bike box, and probably take it on the plane with me, because it actually ends up being cheaper. And you know, they didn't have any. So we went pretty much all around town looking, and there's no bike shop in town, so ended up going back to FedEx and had 2 boxes that kind of taped together, which actually worked out pretty well. It wasn't too bad, but so, you know, if I should have had better planning, I should have called to make sure they had one, but I guess you live and learn, right? So or otherwise go to a bigger city to finish. When I rode across from California to Georgia, I finished in Jekyll Island, had a bike shop there. I just had them pack it up and ship it for me because I didn't want to deal with it, which is nice, actually, if you have that option. But yeah, so then I had a flight leaving around 5:30 out of Williston on United, and that one was delayed about an hour and a half. So I ended up missing my connection into Denver to Reno, which just barely, man, because that Denver to Reno flight got delayed too, but I missed it by about 10 minutes because by the time we got to the gate, I could still see the plane out there on the tarmac. But you know, I don't mind a little extra time off work as long as I don't get fired. So I'm here in Denver, which I was supposed to get a hotel in Denver from them, but oh, we're out of hotels, so they say, and I have this form, as long as I can spend less than $200, they'll reimburse me, so took a train to this hotel, and it's barely going to be under $200. I couldn't find, I don't know what's going on in Denver today, but it was hard to find one, so yeah, who cares? It's that's how it goes sometimes. If you schedule that last fight, you always run that risk. So, and but all in all, it was a really good ride. I would say the route was really, I feel like I'm patting myself on the back, but it was a really good route. El Paso wasn't bad. The traffic was, like I said before, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic, wide roads. It seemed like there was more road than traffic, if that makes sense. And even the people I ran into were really nice. I always got a lot of space. So El Paso was cool. Maybe you could tweak that route a little bit, but it's fine. And then New Mexico, for the most part, has shoulder, and when there isn't shoulder, you don't really need it. So I wouldn't change anything there. Colorado, I was mostly on 71. I was on that road, I think it's 351 or something. It goes kind of northeast. I was a little nervous about that one, but it was fine. And then it was north on 71 for the most part. That was good. That little section on the interstate would have been better without construction, but it was fine. So, and then the rest of the route was good. There was just that one day in Rapid City where I had that unexpected dirt section, but you could just reroute on the Mickelson Trail through there, and it was fine for the road bike with 25s. Or there's probably another route, but definitely I went on through Spearfish Canyon there, and I wouldn't change the route to miss that, because that was one of the highlights. That was awesome, like a long twisty descent with right next to a river, and there's all this canyon everywhere. That was you definitely want to see that one. So, and then the rest of the route was pretty light traffic. There's a lot of shoulder in North Dakota on the bigger roads, and the ones that didn't have shoulder really didn't need it. There's a little section of dirt road on day 9, but it was only about 10 miles, and I think trying to avoid that would add a lot of extra mileage, so I don't know. The only thing maybe I'd try to do is maybe, if it didn't add too much, go eastward through North Dakota a little bit, try to end up in Minot, because it's a little bit of a bigger town there, and they have a bike shop there, so maybe they could pack your bike up for you. But otherwise, the route was good. It had 0 issues with drivers, which was good. I had some issues on my west-east ride, so everybody was nice. All the trucks give you tons of room, like way more room than you need. So for the most part, nice people out here, and I had a good experience. So, and the route was pretty cool. You start in the desert, and then you go through the mountains, and then you go up through the plains. And the plains are actually more interesting than you would think. The scenery is great. It's a better experience than I expected from the plains. If you look hard enough, you can find the beauty in any area you're in. It was cool, the only thing is the wind. It's windy out here, it's tough. So if I might, I'd have to look at the maps, the wind maps and everything, but it might be better going south to north. Or, I did go south to north. It might be better going north to south. But then you run the risk of some pretty strong tailwinds towards the end there. Headwinds towards the end there. Sorry, my still got ride brain. But yeah, I don't know. You're going to have... You can't predict the wind. And you're going to have some headwinds no matter what you do. So it's worth looking at. Like maybe north to south would be better. And logistically, probably a little bit better too, because you could end up in El Paso and there's everything there. So, yeah. Otherwise, really good ride. Really enjoyed it. It wasn't really like a dream of mine to cross the country this direction instead of this direction, but it was fun. And what's next? What's coming up next? If I'm honest with myself, my biggest the biggest thing I want to do is ride across Australia. I'm also thinking about maybe Iceland, doing the ring road there. But what I really want to do is ride across Australia, so I'm going to do some research and see how it goes, man. I don't know what's next, but taking a week easy, that's what's immediately next. So I'm gonna stop running my mouth, get out of Denver here, hopefully no more delays. And yeah, I'll have some more better videos up later. I'll have the full videos with the ride footage. Got some pretty good ride footage hopefully, so I'll have those coming out sometime this weekend or early next week, so look forward to those. It's going to be fun. Gonna have a lot of videos to sort through, so look forward to that, and I'll see you later.